On her first day as a waitress, she knocked a customer flat on the ground. Seeing such a huge mistake, she rushed over to help the customer up, but unexpectedly, she ended up tearing off the customer's shirt in the process. The customer was completely humiliated in front of everyone, so they jumped up angrily and stormed out. To apologize, the manager brought the waitress over to say sorry to the customer. But the customer showed no mercy. Right in front of her, they demanded the manager fire her on the spot. Just like that, the girl got canned on her very first day of work. The girl's name is Lee Soon Shin, and she's a total jinx. She went to a job interview, and because she looked so plain, even though 3 people showed up, the interviewer completely ignored her like she was invisible. She tried her best to speak up, asking the interviewer why they wouldn't even ask her questions. But when the interviewer asked what special skills she had, she thought for ages only to realize that besides having an iron will, she had absolutely nothing going for her. Even more embarrassing, her name sounds like an ancient general's, which made everyone crack up laughing. And that wasn't the end of it. Walking down the street, a guy handing out flyers gave one to everyone except her. He treated her like she was invisible. Feeling totally insulted, she demanded to know why he didn't give her one. When she finally grabbed a flyer, she discovered it was an ad for men's health services. She angrily threw it away, but the next second it stuck right to her face. Just then, a sketchy old man called out to her, claiming to be Shin Junho, a top producer from an entertainment company. He told her that he could tell she had star quality just by looking at her, and asked if she'd be interested in signing on as a talent. Lee Soon Shin couldn't believe it at first, but after listening to the old man's smooth talk and lies, she started feeling like she really was that one-in-a-million genius. When she got home, she told her family the news. While she was incredibly excited, her family kept throwing cold water on her enthusiasm. Her second sister nearly died laughing, saying she was daydreaming. Her dad strongly opposed it too. Feeling crushed, she threw a tantrum. Fortunately, her mom loved her dearly and supported her dream of becoming an actress, even taking her to meet the sketchy old man. The old man was slick as oil, showering the mother and daughter with compliments. He promised them that within a few years, he'd turn Lee Soon Shin into a major star. Faced with this incredible opportunity that seemed to fall from the sky, mother and daughter were grinning ear to ear. They had no clue they were walking into a huge trap. Then the old man pulled out a contract, promising that as soon as they signed, they'd get a signing bonus of 20 million won. Hearing they wouldn't be scammed out of money but would actually make some, mother and daughter's eyes lit up. They happily signed the contract and took the bus home. At home, mother and daughter bragged to the whole family, but what they said only made everyone suspicious. Before long, the bank tracked down Lee Soon Shin and told her someone had taken out a 20 million won loan in her name. The sketchy old man had tricked Lee Soon Shin into thinking he needed 10 million for operating expenses, and she'd transferred it without knowing she'd been conned. Now Lee Soon Shin had to pay back the full 20 million. Learning she'd been scammed, Lee Soon Shin was devastated. She didn't dare tell her family, so she kept going back to the restaurant where she'd been scammed, hoping to catch the old man. Just when she was in total despair, 2 pairs of eyes were watching her. One was top star Choi Yana. The other was the real top producer Shin Junho. They made a bet to see who could turn this plain-looking girl into a superstar in 6 months. For the sake of male pride and his reputation as a top producer, Junho sent out a talent scout to do a complete investigation of Lee Soon Shin. The moment he got the report, Junho laughed out loud. He couldn't help but exclaim, "Perfect," because he'd never seen such an ordinary person. She perfectly avoided every quality that makes a good entertainer. If he could make even someone like her famous, he could handle any talent. So Junho took immediate action to sign Lee Soon Shin. But when he found her and explained his intentions, Lee Soon Shin burst into tears and angrily refused. It turned out that just recently, after being scammed, Lee Soon Shin didn't dare tell her family. She could only confide in her best friend about this misfortune. But her friend couldn't keep a secret and blurted out to her family that Lee Soon Shin owed 20 million. Her friend's mom was also Lee Soon Shin's mom's best friend. To get back the money she'd been scammed out of, Lee Soon Shin came to work at the restaurant where she'd been conned, planning to wait for the sketchy old man to show up. She lied to her family, saying she was attending acting classes. Before long, her dad said he'd pick her up from class and showed up at the acting school. That's when he finally found out Lee Soon Shin had been scammed. Though disappointed, her dad didn't blame her. To keep her mom from worrying, Lee Soon Shin begged her dad not to tell mom. He agreed, but unexpectedly, her friend's mom couldn't keep the secret either. When mom found out, she gave Lee Soon Shin an earful because mom felt like she was the one who'd ruined Lee Soon Shin's life. Dad originally wanted to comfort Lee Soon Shin, but she thought dad had broken his promise and told mom, so she blew up at him. The next morning when she saw dad, she didn't even say hello and went straight to work. Dad knew Lee Soon Shin was hurting inside, and since they hadn't been able to celebrate her birthday because of the scam, he decided to make it up to her. But on the evening dad was planning to celebrate her birthday, he was in a traffic accident and died on the spot. Lee Soon Shin always blamed her unrealistic dream of stardom for her dad's death. That's why when Junho approached her, she was so angry. However, Junho wasn't about to give up after being rejected. His pride was on the line. Turns out, superstar Choi Yun-ah was Junho's ex-girlfriend. Many years ago, they were both idol trainees at an entertainment company, but after Choi Yun-ah got a performance opportunity, she dumped Junho. Later, Choi Yun-ah became a major star. When Junho attended her fan meeting, she pretended not to know him. After Junho successfully started his own entertainment company, to prove his ex-girlfriend made a huge mistake dumping him, he demanded she sign with his company, saying she could name her price if she'd come. But Choi Yun-ah didn't think he was impressive at all. Instead, she thought he was being delusional. To make Junho back off, Choi Yun-ah randomly picked an ordinary person from the street. That person was Lee Soon Shin. Choi Yun-ah bet Junho that if he could make Lee Soon Shin a major star within 6 months, she'd sign with him. Choi Yun-ah's move really got under Junho's skin. To prove himself to his ex, he swore to turn Lee Soon Shin into a major star. But Lee Soon Shin, because of being scammed and losing her dad, kept refusing to agree. To show his sincerity, Junho had secretary Zhao literally drag Lee Soon Shin to a movie premiere. After getting all dolled up, Lee Soon Shin made her dazzling entrance. Then Junho confidently took her around to network with all kinds of entertainment industry bigwigs. But unexpectedly, Lee Soon Shin ran off. Junho caught up with her and brought her back to the company to try to persuade her. But because her previous experience had been too painful, Lee Soon Shin didn't dare dream anymore. Although she knew this was an incredible opportunity, she still turned down Junho's offer. After she left, walking down the street, looking at her beautiful reflection in the shop windows, she wished so much that her dad could see her. Before long, Lee Soon Shin found out her mom was working as a janitor. She went to her mom's workplace and saw her mom getting yelled at without daring to talk back, even falling down without telling the family. That's when she wavered. She went to find Junho and begged him to make her a star. Junho was pretty generous, learning she'd been scammed out of 10 million. He offered her 12 million right away. After Junho signed Lee Soon Shin, he thought everything would go smoothly. But the real disaster was just beginning. Because Lee Soon Shin looked so ordinary and had low education, the company's elite team had no idea where to start. Some suggested plastic surgery right away, others suggested extending the timeline by a few years for gradual training, and some even suggested just giving up. Hearing this, Junho exploded and chewed out all the executives. To turn the impossible into possible, Junho created a strict training plan for Lee Soon Shin. Not only did he strictly control her diet, but he also made her exercise and work out. Meanwhile, there was major resistance at Lee Soon Shin's home. Dad's death had devastated the family. Her second sister even blamed Lee Soon Shin for Dad's death, saying if it weren't for her dream of acting, getting scammed and going into debt, Dad wouldn't have been distracted crossing the street. Facing her family's accusations, Lee Soon Shin felt incredibly guilty. Though she'd signed with Junho, she never dared tell her family. To improve Lee Soon Shin's acting, Junho found famous actress Song Mi-ryung and asked her to be Lee Soon Shin's mentor. Song Mi-ryung was not only good at acting but also great at teaching. She started teaching Lee Soon Shin from the basics, script reading, familiarizing her with lines, taking her to see plays to feel the magic of acting. Though Lee Soon Shin didn't fully understand, she was deeply moved. Before long, Song Mi-ryung gave her a movie script she'd once performed in and told her to act it out her own way. Lee Soon Shin's interpretation of the movie script was completely identical to Song Mi-ryung's. This made Song Mi-ryung see Lee Soon Shin in a new light and develop a fondness for her. During their conversation, Song Mi-ryung recalled her own past. Though Song Mi-ryung was a major star, she had a sordid history. Even more coincidentally, this past seemed connected to Lee Soon Shin's dad. But at that time, she didn't know Lee Soon Shin's background. Song Mi-ryung really recognized Lee Soon Shin's talent and planned to focus on training her. To ensure Lee Soon Shin's success, she even went to the director of a new project and said she wanted the female lead role reserved for Lee Soon Shin, or she wouldn't perform. Meanwhile, when Lee Soon Shin's mom was sorting through her late husband's belongings, she found an old photo. In the photo was her husband with a woman. To figure out who this woman was, she asked her mother-in-law. The mother-in-law told her impatiently that this was her husband's girlfriend from when he was young, named Kyung-suk. Looking closely at the photo, she noticed this woman named Kyung-suk looked a lot like popular actress Song Mi-ryung. Before long, when Lee Soon Shin's oldest sister was cleaning out the storage room, she found a package. It was the clothing Lee Soon Shin had been wrapped in when she was found. Turns out Lee Soon Shin wasn't her parents' biological daughter. Many years ago, her dad found her on the roadside and brought her home. Her mom, far from blaming her husband, happily accepted her. Everyone in the family knew about this except Lee Soon Shin. Mom especially doted on Lee Soon Shin, even more than her own 2 biological daughters. At first, Lee Soon Shin's mom didn't pay much attention to this. But before long, when she carefully examined the scarf in the clothing, she suddenly remembered that the woman in the old photo was also wearing a scarf. Comparing them, she discovered the 2 scarves were identical. This discovery made her very uneasy. She suspected her husband had betrayed her. She went to her mother-in-law again, asking when her husband and the woman in the photo had met, but the mother-in-law's answer remained vague. At breakfast, looking at Lee Soon Shin's face, the more she looked, the more Lee Soon Shin resembled Kyung-suk. She found her husband's friend and asked him about the relationship between her husband and Kyung-suk. The friend acted very nervous when questioned, insisting they were just ordinary friends. The more nervous the friend acted, the more suspicious she became. To find out the truth, she went to the orphanage where Kyung-suk had once lived. After some investigation, Kyung-suk's former friend told her that Kyung-suk had moved to America long ago. Hearing this answer, her anxious heart finally relaxed. But before long, she went to visit her husband's friend's shop. The couple was fighting, and they accidentally blurted out the secret that Kyung-suk was actually Song Mir-young. She was shocked when she heard this. After pressing them, her husband's friend revealed the truth. Actually, Lee Soon Shin was Song Mir-young's daughter, and she was very likely the child of her husband and Song Mir-young. Learning that she'd been raising the other woman's child for over 20 years, she completely changed. She threw all her husband's photos in the trash. Never having drunk before, she got completely wasted. She was no longer respectful to her mother-in-law and even made the old lady cry. Her attitude toward Lee Soon Shin did a complete 180. The once beloved daughter became a thorn in her side. When she heard that Lee Soon Shin was learning acting with Song Mir-young, she kicked Lee Soon Shin out of the house. The family had no idea what had gotten into mom, thinking she was angry because Lee Soon Shin was secretly learning acting. Meanwhile, Song Mir-young accidentally discovered that she was actually responsible for Lee Soon Shin's dad's death. To cover up the truth about killing Lee Soon Shin's dad and nip any revenge in the bud, she quickly took remedial action. When Junho confidently brought Lee Soon Shin to audition for the new project, they discovered that Lee Soon Shin had been blacklisted in the entertainment industry before even debuting. Song Mir-young had no idea she'd personally destroyed her own biological daughter's future, and Lee Soon Shin's mom, because of her husband's betrayal and 20 years of humiliation, decided she wouldn't take it anymore. She vowed to get revenge on Song Mir-young. Meanwhile, Junho angrily confronted the production staff, demanding to know why Lee Soon Shin wasn't on the audition list, but after searching forever, they couldn't find a reason. So he went straight to the director. The director told Junho this was all Song Mir-young's doing. Junho was shocked. He immediately found Song Mir-young and demanded to know why she said she'd focus on training Lee Soon Shin but then blacklisted her. Song Mir-young was dismissive, simply saying that Lee Soon Shin hadn't met her expectations. Her words made Junho furious, but to keep from hurting Lee Soon Shin, he didn't tell her it was her mentor who'd blacklisted her. Lee Soon Shin thought she'd let Song Mir-young down, so she felt very guilty. She tried calling Song Mir-young multiple times to apologize, but Song Mir-young never answered. So Lee Soon Shin visited Song Mir-young in person. When Song Mir-young saw Lee Soon Shin, she showed no teacher-student affection. She told Lee Soon Shin she was very disappointed in her and shut the door in her face. Lee Soon Shin was devastated. Seeing this, Junho felt terrible for her and scolded her for degrading herself like that. Before long, the secretary told Junho that Song Mir-young had originally planned to promote Lee Soon Shin heavily, but blacklisted her the day before auditions. Someone must have been interfering behind the scenes. Junho immediately thought of his bet with his ex-girlfriend. He confronted his ex, demanding if she was the one who secretly blacklisted Lee Soon Shin. But his ex thought it was very strange that he'd take a joke so seriously. Meanwhile, ever since learning Lee Soon Shin was Song Mir-young's daughter, Lee Soon Shin's mom had harbored resentment toward her. When she found out Lee Soon Shin was also learning acting from Song Mir-young, that resentment multiplied exponentially. She targeted Lee Soon Shin at every turn. Even the family couldn't stand mom's abnormal behavior. Lee Soon Shin thought she wasn't good enough to earn mom's approval, so she worked even harder at acting. But the harder she worked, the more mom remembered she was raising Song Mir-young's daughter, and the angrier she got. Only after Lee Soon Shin failed the audition and Song Mir-young stopped teaching her did mom's attitude toward Lee Soon Shin ease up a bit. Mom went to find Junho, hoping he'd cancel the contract. But when she heard Junho say he wanted to get back at Song Mir-young, the flame of revenge ignited in her heart. She agreed to let Junho train Lee Soon Shin, but gave him only 1 month. To get Lee Soon Shin's mom's support, Junho also agreed to make Lee Soon Shin a star in just 1 month. So Lee Soon Shin's 1-month star-making plan kicked into high gear. Junho positioned Lee Soon Shin as an innocent girl, a healing type first love. To create this image, every aspect of Lee Soon Shin had to align with this direction. When eating, Lee Soon Shin had to chew slowly and carefully. When walking and doing things, she had to be graceful. Junho even brought in a top-tier image consulting team. After meticulous makeup and styling, Lee Soon Shin's appearance shocked everyone. She was radiant, looking just like an angel. Her colleagues were all stunned. To get Lee Soon Shin more exposure within 1 month, the whole company went into overdrive. But they still couldn't find a suitable opportunity for Lee Soon Shin's debut. So Junho took a risk and replaced the female lead in a new music video with Lee Soon Shin. Originally, Junho had everything arranged, but Song Mir-young found out. She used her connections again to blacklist Lee Soon Shin. The secretary rushed to report to Junho that the original music video lead was being incited to demand high compensation, unless they stopped using Lee Soon Shin. Faced with these repeated blacklisting incidents, Junho was completely furious. Just then, his celebrity ex-girlfriend Choi Yun-ah asked to meet him, telling him to stop with the bet and offering to voluntarily join Junho's entertainment company. At that moment, Junho was at the height of his anger. Thinking the blacklisting was Choi Yun-ah's doing, he flatly refused and said harshly that from now on, whoever went after Lee Soon Shin would regret it. He turned and walked away. To let Lee Soon Shin smoothly appear in the new music video, Junho went to find the original female lead's agency president and tried to pressure and bribe him. But the president wouldn't budge, and they parted on bad terms. Before long, Junho's investigation revealed that all the blacklisting incidents were Song Mir-young's doing. He completely lost it. He confronted Song Mir-young, but she showed no remorse. She calmly said she'd accepted Choi Yun-ah as her goddaughter and didn't want her daughter to get hurt. She was was trying to get Junho and Choi Yun-ah back together. Hearing this, Junho's pride, wounded from being dumped by Choi Yun-ah, felt soothed. He even started thinking about getting back together with her. Meanwhile, at the company, Junho's attention to Lee Soon Shin far exceeded everyone's expectations, causing dissatisfaction. Among many at the entertainment company, employees gossiped and spread rumors that Lee Soon Shin had used improper means to win Junho's heart. This really bothered Lee Soon Shin. She even told Junho she wanted to give up appearing in the music video. Hearing this, Junho was very disappointed. He gave Lee Soon Shin a harsh scolding and angrily said if she didn't want to do it, then just forget it. Before long, Lee Soon Shin came to the company practice room and happened to run into Junho's secretary. Hearing Lee Soon Shin didn't want to appear in the music video, the secretary nearly exploded. He told Lee Soon Shin that if it weren't for her mom putting pressure on them, Junho wouldn't have risked replacing the original female lead. Moreover, Junho had paid a huge penalty fee to let Lee Soon Shin perform. Only then did Lee Soon Shin understand Junho's predicament. To not let down Junho and her mom's expectations, she decided to continue with the music video. As they gradually spent time together, Lee Soon Shin and Junho developed different feelings for each other. Though Junho continued dating Choi Yun-ah, all he could think about was Lee Soon Shin. So he decided to give up his feelings for Choi Yun-ah. Before long, the music video shoot proceeded as scheduled. But right then, Lee Soon Shin ran into Choi Yun-ah on set. Choi Yun-ah told Lee Soon Shin about the bet she and Junho made using Lee Soon Shin to get back together. She also told Lee Soon Shin she hoped she wouldn't destroy their relationship. Learning she'd been used, plus facing retaliation from the original music video lead's fans, Lee Soon Shin was completely crushed. She angrily told Junho she didn't want to keep going anymore. She was giving up on being a talent. Junho, who didn't know the truth, wanted to counsel Lee Soon Shin. But then Choi Yun-ah found Junho and told him she'd revealed the bet to Lee Soon Shin. Without a word, Junho went to find Lee Soon Shin. Choi Yun-ah immediately grabbed him, saying if he left, he'd lose his chance to get back together forever. Hearing this, Junho didn't waver. He pushed away Choi Yun-ah's hand, because at that moment, his heart belonged only to Lee Soon Shin. Junho knew he'd wronged Lee Soon Shin, so he kept looking for a chance to apologize. But Lee Soon Shin wouldn't answer his calls, so Junho went to find her in person. He very sincerely apologized to Lee Soon Shin, saying that although he made the bet, he genuinely wanted to develop her talent. But Lee Soon Shin couldn't let it go and told Junho to stop looking for her. Junho was a man with extremely strong pride. He sought out Lee Soon Shin not only hoping she'd continue acting, but more importantly, he'd fallen for her. But even after getting a cool new haircut, he couldn't bring himself to confess his feelings. Meanwhile, Song Myeong's assistant, team leader Hwang, had been helping her cover up her sordid past. But when Song Myeong saw him acting sneaky all the time, she thought he betrayed her and blew up at him. Team leader Hwang felt very wronged and told her he'd been investigating her daughter for her. When Song Myeong saw the investigation report, she remembered what Lee Soon Shin's dad had said before he died. She strongly suspected Lee Soon Shin was her long-lost daughter. To confirm the truth, she came to the restaurant where Lee Soon Shin worked. After seeing Lee Soon Shin, Song Myeong asked about her birthday and birth circumstances. All the information matched perfectly. Learning her daughter was Lee Soon Shin, Song Myeong was shocked. She recalled shutting Lee Soon Shin out and constantly blacklisting her. She was in extreme inner pain. She desperately wanted to acknowledge Lee Soon Shin as her daughter. After getting drunk, she unconsciously walked to Lee Soon Shin's house and stood at the door in a daze. But at that time, Song Myeong was a very famous celebrity. If things were exposed, her entertainment career would suffer a major blow. The inner torment kept plaguing Song Myeong. She got drunk every day and was completely out of it at work. Meanwhile, ever since learning Lee Soon Shin was Song Myeong's daughter, Lee Soon Shin's mom hadn't given anyone a kind look. Lee Soon Shin's grandmother saw her daughter-in-law constantly targeting her and felt very wronged. She directly confronted Lee Soon Shin's mom and vented all the dissatisfaction and grievances she'd been holding in for days. Seeing her mother-in-law like this, Lee Soon Shin's mom felt even more wronged. She really couldn't hold it in anymore, so she shouted that Lee Soon Shin was her husband's child with someone else. Hearing this, the grandmother nearly fainted. She finally understood her daughter-in-law's dissatisfaction and grievances. She sympathized with her daughter-in-law's situation and felt terrible that she'd been deceived. She really wanted to know who Lee Soon Shin's biological mother was and kept trying to talk to her daughter-in-law. But her daughter-in-law refused to tell her. To find out the truth, she found her son's close friend from when he was alive. As soon as they met, she gave the friend an earful, blaming them for conspiring to deceive her. Seeing things couldn't be hidden anymore, the friend had to tell the grandmother the truth. Learning Lee Soon Shin was Song Myeong's daughter, the grandmother found her daughter-in-law and gave her a harsh scolding. She was ashamed of her son's outrageous behavior and heartbroken for her daughter-in-law's suffering. She wanted to stand up for her daughter-in-law, so she went to Song Myeong's house alone. She glared viciously at Song Myeong and unleashed a verbal assault. Song Myeong wasn't backing down either. She remembered when she wanted to date the grandmother's son years ago. The grandmother had obstructed them at every turn. She started arguing back. The grandmother flew into a rage and grabbed Song Myeong's hair, and they started wrestling. Song Myeong tried to break free but couldn't. The assistant rushed to help, but the grandmother was like she had Ultraman powers. She had a death grip on the celebrity. Finally, it took tremendous effort to pull the grandmother off. After the grandmother left, Song Myeong was furious and humiliated. She decided to stop hiding the fact that she had a daughter and planned to bring her daughter back. The next day, Song Miri-young found Junho and told him to prepare a press conference to announce she had a long-lost daughter. Assistant Hwang tried to dissuade her, but Song Miri-young believed reporters were already investigating secretly. If she didn't reveal it before the reporters did, she'd become a bad mom who abandoned her child, and her reputation would suffer even greater damage. At that time, Junho didn't know the daughter to be revealed was Lee Soon Shin, so he agreed with her thinking. Then Song Miri-young dolled herself up magnificently, prepared a whole car full of gifts, and like a warrior going into battle, barged into Lee Soon Shin's house, telling Lee Soon Shin's mom about the upcoming press conference. Lee Soon Shin's mom was furious when she heard this, but Song Miri-young advised her that since things were already exposed, even if she didn't say anything, reporters would report it anyway, which would hurt Lee Soon Shin even more, so she hoped they'd be mentally prepared. Just then, Junho came to discuss the press conference with Song Miri-young. When he learned Song Miri-young's daughter was actually Lee Soon Shin, he completely exploded. He knew if things were exposed, it would cause serious harm to Lee Soon Shin. He regretted agreeing to Song Miri-young's plan. Meanwhile, Lee Soon Shin's family was in total chaos. To keep the family's shame private, Lee Soon Shin's mom went to find Song Miri-young, hoping she'd cancel the press conference. But Song Miri-young wouldn't listen to reason. They ended up parting on very bad terms. Lee Soon Shin's mom placed her last hope on Junho. Junho also felt terrible for Lee Soon Shin. He promised he'd do his absolute best to stop the press conference. Junho found the reporter who'd been tracking this story, hoping the reporter wouldn't expose it. But the reporter was in a difficult position because this would come out sooner or later anyway. To minimize the damage to Lee Soon Shin, Junho begged the reporter to give him a few days to tell Lee Soon Shin the truth. The reporter reluctantly agreed. Junho found Song Miri-young again, hoping she'd comfort Lee Soon Shin before the exposure. But Song Miri-young acted like she was possessed. She believed that as a major star, Lee Soon Shin would be thrilled. So how could she possibly be hurt? She rejected Junho's suggestion. Junho had always thought he could handle anything, but he couldn't help Lee Soon Shin. He suddenly felt like a complete failure. Knowing he was powerless, he could only call Lee Soon Shin's mom to tell her. To comfort Lee Soon Shin before the exposure, her mom took her shopping and also visited Lee Soon Shin's dad. Finally, Lee Soon Shin's mom told her the truth about her background. The press conference was held as scheduled. Song Miri-young appeared as a woman with a tragic fate. When she revealed the truth, public opinion exploded. Lee Soon Shin's home lost all peace and quiet. Reporters who heard the news surrounded the front door so tightly you couldn't get through. The family couldn't even leave the house conveniently. Meanwhile, after learning about her background, Lee Soon Shin ran away from home. After thinking things through, she went to find Song Miri-young and asked her not to contact her anymore or hurt her family. Hearing this, Song Miri-young was very sad. She tried to talk to Lee Soon Shin multiple times but was rejected. Lee Soon Shin reconciled with her family and continued living harmoniously together. Junho also chased away the reporters at their door. Just when they thought life would return to peace, Song Miri-young, feeling ignored and not wanting to lose her right to be a mother, went to find Lee Soon Shin's mom and pulled out a huge check. The custody battle between biological mother and adoptive mother was about to erupt. Lee Soon Shin's mom was furious. Though Lee Soon Shin wasn't her biological daughter, she'd raised her for decades. She didn't want to hand her daughter over to her biological mother, so she angrily kicked Song Miri-young out. When Lee Soon Shin came home, her second sister told her that her birth mother wanted to give mom a large sum of money and take her away. She felt really hurt. She went to find Song Miri-young and demanded she stop hurting her family and stop disturbing her life. She turned and left. Just then, a reporter happened to pass by. After Song Miri-young's repeated pleading, Lee Soon Shin reluctantly accepted an interview. But right after the interview, she regretted it. She was afraid mom would be hurt when it aired, so she made an agreement with Song Miri-young not to broadcast the interview content. But to force Lee Soon Shin's mom to give up custody, Song Miri-young told team leader Hwang not only to broadcast it but to heavily promote it. Before long, the news interview aired. Lee Soon Shin's family was very disappointed in her after watching it. They also sneered at Song Miri-young's ruthless tactics. Lee Soon Shin's mom was especially heartbroken and couldn't focus at work. After learning the interview had aired, Lee Soon Shin rushed to explain to her mom. But her mom comforted her, saying since it happened, just accept it peacefully. Meanwhile, after the interview was released, Song Miri-young received congratulations from various entertainment industry figures. Seeing her plan work so well, she was very happy. To welcome Lee Soon Shin to live in her mansion, she even meticulously decorated Lee Soon Shin's room. Before long, Song Miri-young met with Lee Soon Shin's mom and pressured her, saying if Lee Soon Shin followed her, she'd make her wildly successful. But if Lee Soon Shin stayed with her adoptive mother, she'd just be mediocre. She also said she wouldn't interfere with the mom's decision, she should choose for herself. Lee Soon Shin's mom was suddenly caught in a dilemma. Ever since Lee Soon Shin decided to give up acting, she'd continued job hunting, but things kept not working out. Lee Soon Shin's mom knew she loved acting and felt terrible that she'd given up her dream for her family. So she went to Lee Soon Shin and told her to accept Song Miri-young's arrangement. Hearing this, Lee Soon Shin thought her mom was giving up on her. She was very sad and after a big fight with her mom, ran away from home. With nowhere to go, Lee Soon Shin found the restaurant manager she used to work for and went traveling with them. Meanwhile, though Junho opposed Song Myeong's approach, he also hoped Lee Soon Shin would use Song Myeong's fame to start acting again. He tried to persuade Lee Soon Shin many times. Lee Soon Shin had thought Junho could understand her difficulties, but seeing him act this way too, she was disappointed. When Junho learned Lee Soon Shin had gone traveling with the manager, he was immediately consumed with jealousy. He grabbed his assistant and rushed off to find Lee Soon Shin. During the trip, Junho and Lee Soon Shin spent a wonderful day together. They took photos together, played together, and enjoyed the scenery along the way. By episode 30, they seemed about to start dating, yet also seemed not to be dating at all. At this point, Junho stopped demanding Lee Soon Shin accept Song Myeong's arrangement. After they returned to Seoul, Lee Soon Shin ignored Song Myeong again. Song Myeong blamed Junho, and they had a huge fight, threatening to stop cooperating. Lee Soon Shin thought after rejecting Song Myeong, life would return to normal. But to continue pressuring Lee Soon Shin's family, Song Myeong started spreading rumors, saying Lee Soon Shin had to watch her family's faces from childhood, that her mom ruined Lee Soon Shin's dreams, and that Lee Soon Shin was abused because she wasn't biological. The family got into fights with neighbors over this. Seeing things develop this way, Lee Soon Shin's mom was very sad and hurt, so she told Lee Soon Shin not to be timid for her sake and to openly accept her birth mother's favors. Lee Soon Shin also didn't want the rumors to hurt her mom, so she went to Song Myeong and agreed to accept her arrangement. Her only requirement was that Song Myeong publicly deny the rumors and issue a statement saying Lee Soon Shin's mom and family treated her very well and never abused her. Song Myeong agreed to Lee Soon Shin's request. To quickly bring Lee Soon Shin to her side, Song Myeong went to great lengths. She took Lee Soon Shin to buy expensive clothes and eat at top-tier Western restaurants. But Lee Soon Shin just couldn't be happy. Song Myeong saw through her thoughts and arranged a reporter interview. Facing the reporter, Lee Soon Shin vigorously clarified that her adoptive mother was a good mom and her family treated her well, but she didn't mention anything about her and Song Myeong. Seeing this, Song Myeong got jealous again. She had the reporter remove the rumor-denying information and only mention the good news of their mother-daughter reunion. Meanwhile, Lee Soon Shin's second sister was dating the neighbor's son and wanted to get married, but they faced strong opposition from the neighbor's mom, who even came over and made a scene. Lee Soon Shin's mom saw the news report about Lee Soon Shin and Song Myeong, plus her second daughter's marriage troubles, and was extremely agitated. When Lee Soon Shin learned the report had deleted the rumor-denying information, she rushed home to explain to her mom. That's when mom exploded. She told Lee Soon Shin she really loved her and genuinely didn't mind her going to Song Myeong. She told her to stop watching her face and making decisions accordingly. Because Song Myeong didn't keep her promise to publicly deny the rumors, Lee Soon Shin went to Song Myeong and flew off the handle, saying she never wanted to see her again. To win back Lee Soon Shin's heart, Song Myeong told her a secret. Lee Soon Shin had no blood relation to her current family. She hoped she wouldn't go back to her adoptive mother. Learning about her background, Lee Soon Shin was shocked. She was terrified her family would find out. To keep Song Myeong from revealing the secret, she decided to move into Song Myeong's house. Meanwhile, Junho was thrilled to learn Lee Soon Shin was coming back to acting. Unlike Song Myeong, who wanted Lee Soon Shin to quickly reach the top using her fame, Junho wanted Lee Soon Shin to start from zero. Over this, Junho and Song Myeong parted on bad terms. Lee Soon Shin also wanted to remove Song Myeong's halo, especially after learning the truth about her background. She developed extremely strong rebellious feelings towards Song Myeong and turned down many performance opportunities Song Myeong arranged for her. Lee Soon Shin went to Junho, hoping he could help her. She really wanted to prove herself through ability without relying on Song Myeong. But when she confidently went to audition the first time, she failed due to nerves. This really frustrated her. But Junho on the sidelines had a mischievous smile, because he knew it wouldn't be that smooth. To help Lee Soon Shin better face reality, Junho took her to audition for a theater troupe. Just as she was performing and singing her heart out, the judges quickly recognized her as Song Myeong's daughter. Junho told Lee Soon Shin that now, wherever she went, she'd be connected to Song Myeong. If she didn't want this, she should start learning from scratch again. Before long, Junho got a role for a restaurant singer. Lee Soon Shin really liked it when she saw it, so she started practicing the script day and night. To make her more like a singer, Junho even taught her to train on guitar. Before long, the audition officially began. Though Lee Soon Shin's acting didn't move the director due to nerves, she still landed the restaurant singer role with her emotionally charged singing. When they learned she'd passed the audition, they hugged excitedly. Lee Soon Shin also told her mom the good news, but she didn't tell Song Myeong. This made Song Myeong very angry. Song Myeong accidentally saw a text from Lee Soon Shin's mom about throwing her a celebration party. She deleted the text from Lee Soon Shin's mom. To compete with Lee Soon Shin's mom, she decided to throw an even bigger celebration party on the same day. She invited all kinds of entertainment industry bigwigs and even tricked Lee Soon Shin's mom into coming, planning to publicly humiliate her. When Lee Soon Shin's mom saw Lee Soon Shin surrounded by various celebrities, she knew her presence would only embarrass Lee Soon Shin, so she quietly left. Meanwhile, after Junho's ex-girlfriend Choi Yun-ah learned Junho had fallen for Lee Soon Shin, she'd been holding a grudge. To get revenge on Lee Soon Shin, she kept causing trouble behind her back. Previously, when Lee Soon Shin auditioned as the show's female lead, Choi Yun-ah knew the director hated people who relied on connections, so she kept emphasizing that Lee Soon Shin was major star Song Mi-ryung's daughter, making the director very dissatisfied with Lee Soon Shin. But Lee Soon Shin still won the director's approval with her good acting. Seeing her plan didn't work, she came up with another scheme. When the crew went to an island to film, she deliberately told Secretary Zhao the wrong filming time and location, causing Lee Soon Shin and the team to not arrive at the filming location on time on their first shoot. When they rushed to the correct location, they ran right into filming. This made the director furious. Seeing Lee Soon Shin embarrassed, Choi Yun-ah hypocritically pleaded with the director on her behalf. To put Lee Soon Shin under pressure, Choi Yun-ah kept emphasizing to other actors and seniors that Lee Soon Shin's mom was major star Song Mi-ryung. This also caused others to become very dissatisfied with Lee Soon Shin. By the second filming, Choi Yun-ah deceived Lee Soon Shin again, saying that because Lee Soon Shin kept making mistakes, the crew had a lot of complaints about her. She took out her credit card and had Lee Soon Shin go buy drinks for everyone, saying this would soothe everyone's mood. But as soon as Lee Soon Shin left, it was time to film her scenes. Unable to find Lee Soon Shin, the director was furious again and cancelled Lee Soon Shin's filming tasks for the day. Lee Soon Shin was depressed about her acting not going well and went to the beach alone to feel sad. But unexpectedly, because there was suddenly a typhoon, the crew evacuated early, leaving only Lee Soon Shin behind. Learning this, Junho told his other colleagues to leave first while he went to find Lee Soon Shin. By the time he found her and they got back to the dock, the last boat had already left. They were forced to stay on the isolated island. But there was only one guest house on the island. Lee Soon Shin was a bit excited about the unfamiliar environment. Then the guest house owner asked, "Are you a couple?" Hearing this, Junho felt strange. The owner seriously told Junho that coming to his place today was the right choice, because there was only one room, and gave Junho a knowing wink that guys understand. Before long, the owner brought out a sumptuous dinner. Looking at the two young people in front of him, he continued, "There's nothing to do around here, really nothing at all. You should just sleep well. I definitely won't disturb you." Hearing this, Junho was dying of embarrassment. When night came, the atmosphere between them was ambiguous mixed with awkwardness. To ease the tension, Junho went outside to sleep, letting Lee Soon Shin sleep indoors. But there were too many mosquitoes outside. Junho was dancing around swatting mosquitoes and couldn't sleep at all. Lee Soon Shin felt bad for Junho and let him sleep inside. In the middle of the night, they finally nestled together. Actually, they'd liked each other all along, just hadn't confessed yet. After Lee Soon Shin and Junho spent a night on the island, their feelings rapidly heated up. Junho decided to confess to Lee Soon Shin. They both dressed up carefully for their date. Just then, Choi Yun-ah unleashed her ultimate move. She proactively leaked to the media that she was dating Junho. Suddenly, news about Junho dating major star Choi Yun-ah was everywhere. They missed their chance to confess because of this. After the scandal broke, Junho received congratulations from all quarters. Junho couldn't explain himself. Even Lee Soon Shin believed it, saying they were a perfect match and wishing them an early family. But as soon as she turned around, tears of heartache streamed down her face. Junho was also very frustrated. Ever since Lee Soon Shin moved in with Song Mi-ryung, Lee Soon Shin's family had been a bit disappointed in her. When her second sister was preparing to get married, they didn't even invite her to the meeting between the in-laws. When her brother-in-law found out, he went to talk to Lee Soon Shin. Learning she also had someone she liked but didn't have the courage to confess, her brother-in-law encouraged her not to leave any regrets. So Lee Soon Shin mustered up the courage to find Junho. But she happened to run into him asking Choi Yun-ah to publicly deny the rumors. She thought they were dating, so she turned and left again. Seeing this, Junho quickly chased after her. Then Lee Soon Shin said to Junho, telling him not to be too good to her because it would make her mistakenly think Junho liked her. Junho said Lee Soon Shin wasn't mistaken, because he actually did like her. Then they started passionately kissing. After that, they began their shameless romance. Having just separated, they already missed each other. Junho carefully composed and edited a long message to send to Lee Soon Shin. After receiving the text, Lee Soon Shin kept thinking about how to reply. She edited the text, deleted it, changed it, deleted it again. After thinking forever, she finally just replied with one word, "Okay." Junho, anxiously waiting for a reply, was completely dumbfounded when he saw it. Ever since they got together, Lee Soon Shin not only gained the sweetness of love but her acting career also became increasingly successful. With her good acting, Lee Soon Shin received praise from the director multiple times. The seniors who previously thought she relied on connections and were dissatisfied with her also changed their attitude and gave her acting high praise. After the TV drama aired, Lee Soon Shin's debut performance also received tremendous positive reviews from audiences. Lee Soon Shin quickly established her own reputation. Even when going out to eat, fans asked for her autograph. Seeing Lee Soon Shin's career improving, though the family still found it grating that people always said Lee Soon Shin was Song Mi-ryung's daughter, they were still gratified she'd achieved good results. Meanwhile, Song Mi-ryung had always had a strong desire for control. She really hoped Lee Soon Shin would work according to her methods. But but seeing Lee Soon Shin doing well without relying on her, she stopped forcing Lee Soon Shin to accept her arrangements and supported her independent development. At this point, Lee Soon Shin also began to face her relationship with Song Myeong properly, especially after hearing grandmother recall the past and learning that Song Myeong used to be an orphan whose childhood was extremely miserable, living like a beggar. Lee Soon Shin developed strong sympathy for her. Previously, Lee Soon Shin didn't even want to talk to Song Myeong. Now she not only made breakfast for her, but after receiving her paycheck, besides buying gifts for her family, she also bought gifts for Song Myeong. Moreover, Lee Soon Shin began accepting the fact that Song Myeong was her mother and even filmed a mother-daughter themed commercial with her. For a while, Lee Soon Shin could be said to have a bumper harvest of love, family affection, and career. All this greatly provoked Junho's ex-girlfriend Choi Yeon-ah. Originally, Choi Yeon-ah and Song Myeong had a very good relationship and privately even called each other mother and daughter. But ever since Song Myeong acknowledged Lee Soon Shin, she gradually distanced herself from Choi Yeon-ah. Plus, Lee Soon Shin's popularity once overshadowed Choi Yeon-ah's. Choi Yeon-ah felt the multiple blows of love, family affection, and career. She completely lost it. Just then, she learned a secret that could destroy Lee Soon Shin. Junho's dad was the director of a beauty clinic. Song Myeong often needed skin care, and over time they became familiar and occasionally drank and talked together. Learning this, Junho's mom thought the director was having an affair with Song Myeong. She ran to the filming set and publicly slapped the director, angrily demanding a divorce. After learning Junho and Lee Soon Shin were dating, she even went to warn Lee Soon Shin to break up with Junho immediately. Junho was caught between his parents and Lee Soon Shin, torn both ways. Choi Yeon-ah saw all of this. Just as she was preparing to strike, she discovered an even bigger secret. Song Myeong was connected to Lee Soon Shin's dad's death. Moreover, a reporter had been investigating Song Myeong and confirmed the secret. Choi Yeon-ah hit the jackpot. She went to Song Myeong, completely disregarding their former mother-daughter bond. She threatened Song Myeong, if she didn't persuade Lee Soon Shin to break up with Junho, she'd expose the secret, making Song Myeong not only lose her daughter but also be completely disgraced. She also threatened Junho, if he didn't break up with Lee Soon Shin and come back to her, she'd air his family's dirty laundry and drag Lee Soon Shin into scandal before she even became famous. After being threatened, Junho and Song Myeong tried to think of countermeasures, but there was absolutely no solution. So to protect Lee Soon Shin and prevent her future from being harmed, Junho made a foolish decision. He asked Lee Soon Shin out and spent a wonderful day with her. Then, when Lee Soon Shin was full of joy, he broke up with her. But what he didn't know was that his action couldn't protect Lee Soon Shin at all. When Lee Soon Shin got home, she couldn't believe it was real. Then she called Junho every day, but all she heard was no answer. Finally, she accepted this reality. The pain of heartbreak made Lee Soon Shin completely devastated. She couldn't even focus on acting. Lee Soon Shin suffered like this for many days. Though Choi Yeon-ah successfully broke up Junho and Lee Soon Shin, she didn't get the happiness she wanted. Junho could never return to her side. She also couldn't be happy because of guilt. Junho thought that after breaking up with Lee Soon Shin, the news about Song Myeong being connected to Lee Soon Shin's dad's death wouldn't be exposed. But he was wrong. Reporter Park, who'd been investigating Song Myeong's case, found Junho's dad. Turns out, at that time, to hide the truth about having a daughter, Song Myeong found Lee Soon Shin's dad and asked him to keep the secret. They argued about this on the street. Lee Soon Shin's dad was hit by a car and killed while trying to save Song Myeong. To avoid being connected to Lee Soon Shin's dad, Song Myeong concealed the truth and fled. The only witness to all this was the director. Seeing the reporter had tracked him down and knowing things would soon be exposed, the director called Song Myeong to meet. Just then, Lee Soon Shin happened to see this. Lee Soon Shin had always thought Junho broke up with her because Song Myeong was having an affair with the director. She was bothered by it, so she followed them. As a result, she overheard Song Myeong and the director's conversation. Only then did she understand her adoptive father's death was connected to Song Myeong. Lee Soon Shin simply couldn't believe it. When she got home, she started throwing a tantrum, smashing everything. She demanded Song Myeong go to the police station to explain what happened and go to her family to beg for forgiveness. But Song Myeong said doing so would ruin her future. Song Myeong's answer deeply disappointed Lee Soon Shin. After a huge fight with Song Myeong, she left Song Myeong's house. At that point, she neither had the courage to expose Song Myeong nor the face to return to her family. She cut off all contact and disappeared. Everyone thought Lee Soon Shin was hit too hard by heartbreak. Even Junho blamed himself for casually breaking up. But just then, Junho's dad found him and told him the truth. So Junho desperately searched for Lee Soon Shin and finally found her in a park. At that moment, Lee Soon Shin was as hurt as a child. Meanwhile, after losing Lee Soon Shin, Song Myeong thought long and hard and finally made a decision. She would go to the Lee family to apologize and ask for forgiveness. But by then it was too late. Lee Soon Shin's mom had already learned what happened from the police. At that point, the Lee family couldn't feel Song Myeong's sincerity at all. They unleashed a verbal assault on her. Then Lee Soon Shin's mom went to Junho's company and brought Lee Soon Shin home. She never wanted Lee Soon Shin to return to Song Myeong's side again. To win back Lee Soon Shin, Song Myeong decided to fully cooperate with the police investigation. But the Lee family still wouldn't forgive Song Myeong. Not wanting the Lee family to take away her daughter, Song Myeong blurted out in desperation that Lee Soon Shin wasn't the Lee family's blood. The Lee family was thunderstruck. Lee Soon Shin's mom finally understood why Lee Soon Shin had resolutely left the Lee family back then. Junho thought that after things were exposed, he and Lee Soon Shin could get back together, but he was wrong. Lee Soon Shin was very disappointed in him and didn't plan to get back with him at all, not until Lee Soon Shin's former manager overheard a conversation between Song Myeong and Choi Yun-ah and learned that Junho was threatened into breaking up with Lee Soon Shin. The manager told Lee Soon Shin about Junho's predicament. Lee Soon Shin ultimately chose to forgive Junho. They got back together. After Song Myeong's scandal was exposed, she fell from the peak to rock bottom. Her entertainment career went up in smoke. Junho's company was also in jeopardy because of Song Myeong. Lee Soon Shin also no longer wanted to accept Song Myeong. Having lost everything, Song Myeong was completely devastated. She slowly walked into the sea. At the end of the story, Junho's mom learned the director wasn't having an affair with Song Myeong and agreed to let Junho and Lee Soon Shin be together. Choi Yun-ah also stopped pestering Junho. Song Myeong was discovered by fishermen after a failed suicide attempt. At Lee Soon Shin's urging, Song Myeong made all her past public. Mother and daughter also reached a reconciliation. Then she went into seclusion. Through constant effort, Lee Soon Shin ultimately became a true major star. After all the storms, the Lee family happily gathered together again. Thus ends the Korean drama, The Best Lee Soon Shin, in its entirety. Thank you all for watching. I'm Dino K Drama. Please follow my YouTube channel and TikTok channel. See you in the next Korean drama.